I suck at Jiu Jitsu? How do I suck less at Jiu Jitsu?
I guess to suck less.
What is one piece of advice that you would give a beginner to help them suck less at Jiu Jitsu? Well, the advice would be the same advice that I gave you guys 360 episodes ago, 6 years ago. And the advice is this: you've got to focus. That is the secret. There are way too many important pieces to getting good at jiu-jitsu, and you really need them to all happen at once to get really good at jiu-jitsu. But the problem is, it takes a very, very long time to develop all of those pieces, especially the way that most people do it. Most people work on whatever is randomly taught at the gym, whatever they randomly see on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or wherever they consume their jiu-jitsu. And the big problem occurs because you're never actually getting good at any of these things. When we really boil it down to really high-level black belts, the best black belts in the world, they always have this thing in common that people will talk about. People will say, oh, this guy, he does the same thing to everybody. He's so good that he can do the same thing to everybody. That is not the measure of being good. He is so good at that one thing that he can do it to everybody. There is a difference in how we look at it. So the problem is not that you don't have enough information. The problem is that you haven't gone deeper on the information that you have. Very beginner, the first thing that you can do is listen to your coach. Listen to what you're paying this person to teach you jiu-jitsu. Why would you assume that your opinion on what you should be learning is relevant yet? You don't know anything yet. And so the idea that you should be telling your coach, I want to listen to this, I'm gonna pick my own thing to work. A lot of times your coach can show jiu-jitsu, can teach jiu-jitsu, and they'll show you, this is a Kimura, this is a triangle. One of those things will click with you. You'll go, oh, this feels a little better for me. When we roll live, I find myself almost getting here. That's what you should focus on. You should commit, actually, it's the beginning of the year. You should say, for the next 6 weeks, 6 months, or even this entire year of 2026. Holy smokes, I shouldn't have done 666 there. That was wild. Rewind. That was not, didn't mean to do that. But this year, you choose to get good at one thing specifically. And the times I've challenged my own students to do this, and this is not an exaggeration, I have had some people that have decided that they were going to pick a specific position, a specific type of pass, a style of passing, a specific guard. They're going to play half guard. They're going to play collar sleeve. And they would say, I'm only going to do this for the next year. Every time somebody say, hey, where do you want to start? They would go, oh, could I start in half guard? Could I start in collar sleeve? And they did it over and over and over again. And those people, and this is not an exaggeration, I would say on average went up 2 belt levels at that position in 1 year. Think about that. Think about how beneficial it would be for you as a white belt. You're gonna suck at everything a year from now, I promise. But what if there was one thing that when you went with a blue belt, and even when you went with some purple belts, if you could get them there, you could beat them. And obviously winning in the gym, really, it's not that relevant. But what if that could happen? What if you could just with a little dedication, just with a little focus, and most importantly, with the choice now that you're going to focus in the future, and you keep yourself accountable, you keep that in mind as like, I am going to do this. Why not do that? And so to me, that is the secret. Pick a focus, spend time on it. Because imagine this, a year from now you're a purple belt at one guard. You know how to get to purple belt level at something. That is the true secret is the black belt at your gym. If he is training consistently, he's actually getting better faster than you. He hasn't learned it all. He's starting to get to take these things that he's actually good at and refine them down to be great at them. And what is he doing? Oh, he's just choosing to focus. The secret is the same if you're a beginner or if you're advanced. It is you find focus. The problem is, where do we find focus, right? As you get better, it's harder to find coaches that you like. It's harder to find podcasts that you like. Things start to get too redundant not redundant in a good way. Like, I've tried this information already. And so let's move on. That is question 1. And we only have 39 to go on our New Year's special. Obviously, you guys can see a little longer than a typical I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show episode, but I thought it would be fun to just start the year off with something like this. This is 40 listener questions. Some have been saved for a while. Some we just got recently. But the truth for me is, like, I really appreciate you guys listening, and I wanted to answer as many of your specific questions. So as you go through, maybe one of your questions get answered today. Number 2, have you ever hit a plateau in your training, and what strategies do you use to overcome periods when progress seems to stall? So yes, I do occasionally hit plateaus, maybe for a couple weeks now, maybe probably not even that. And these probably happen every 3 to 6 months. It's very, very uncommon. I train consistently. But I do feel like, and this is what I was saying earlier, is the secret is that I get to improve over and over and over. And it's like I get the practice of improving, and I get to refine that skill of getting better at jiu-jitsu as I'm getting better at jiu-jitsu. So I am getting better at jiu-jitsu. That has, and so that's why I don't really stall as much anymore. But I also have deep focuses. I have things that I've literally been focused on in my training for 3 years now. And it's basically ruined my life because I haven't been able to focus on anything else in jiu-jitsu but these things. But it's also changed my jiu-jitsu, so that makes your life better. And so it's like, even if your life is on fire, if your jiu-jitsu is getting better, is your life really that bad? You know, think about all the people that are super successful and happy and fulfilled that you could submit in less than a minute. Think about that. Number 3, yeah, I think that's my answer, is like, just get better at jiu-jitsu. I guess if I ever did plateau and I was struggling, I didn't answer that part of it. It's a 2-part question. We won't go, man, there's more than 40 questions when we add the 2-part questions in together. But how do I overcome it when I do have those periods of plateaus? I would say I like to just try to get as much perspective as I can. What a lot of people do too much of, I don't do at all. I actually hardly listen to any podcasts about jiu-jitsu. Watch any YouTube videos about jiu-jitsu, watch very little Instagram stuff about jiu-jitsu. And I know that would be surprising to some people, but I deal with jiu-jitsu so much. A lot of the times when I'm consuming things, I am consuming them for entertainment. And so it's just like, I don't want to watch jiu-jitsu for entertainment. I'm exhausted from jiu-jitsu. And so that's why I typically don't. But like, if I ever start to feel myself in a plateau, I'll go, well, what's new from the YouTubers that I like? What are they showing? And usually it takes me a couple of videos, and I'm like, okay, I have some great stuff to work for the next 6 months. Stuff that I know I need because I have specific people that their perspective just seems to click with me. And so that's what I typically do. If I was the opposite, if I was somebody that struggled with having too many outside sources, then you're always learning, I would just dial in, only listen to the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show. And then people that I have on the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show, obviously. That's like me telling you guys to listen to them. Or just listen to your coach. But the big thing would be focus. It's like tune out all that noise and try to dial in on something. If that means you still watch YouTube videos, but you only watch them on a specific position, and you still watch your Instagram videos and study them, but only on a specific position or idea. And so, yeah. Now, number 3, would you ever teach a seminar in the Philippines? I would definitely do that. I think I assume the listener knows that I am half Filipino. I'm actually 3/8 Filipino. But yeah, I would say, I would definitely, for money. Yeah. Well, honestly too, I could definitely see myself. I have a lot of family that is in the Philippines. On top of that, I sit on the board of directors for Mission 111, which you guys should check out, mission111.org. I make no money from it. I'm a volunteer director, just like all of up to the president, the CEO, everybody is volunteer. And so that's what's awesome about Mission 111. And my mom started it. That's what's also awesome. But we do so much work there. I could definitely see myself going there not for jiu-jitsu, and if I did, I would try to do a seminar or two. I think that would be a really cool experience to get to do. But who knows? Yeah, if somebody wanted to pay for me to go to the Philippines and then pay me to do a seminar, yes, I would do that. I don't know what places I wouldn't do that. Yeah, if the money is right, I think I'm there. Number 4. Ooh, this is a good one. What are your go-to tips for dealing with significantly larger or stronger opponents? I like significantly larger. Okay, that gives me enough context. Because just larger or stronger, it's so general. 20 pounds heavier. Sometimes that guy literally doesn't have any negatives to being 20 pounds heavier than you. Sometimes he's literally just bigger, faster, stronger. But typically, if somebody's 100 pounds heavier than you, typically they have... unless you're just really small, they have some body weight that slows them down. They're not as, usually, not always, but we're just saying somebody bigger. The thought is you have to, just like we do in jiu-jitsu all the time, just like the goal is really in jiu-jitsu, you have to take as much of your body to attack as little of their body as possible. That is how you're going to typically beat those people. Why? Because most people go, well, I'll play guard. That's how I'll deal with this guy. And that makes sense. You play guard and it works. But you get tired from your guard because the person is so much bigger than you. If you make a few moves and you don't get them off of you, they stay pretty square. Things start to get closer and closer and closer. You lose your position. The thought is you pull guard, you think omoplata. Oh, but coach, I don't like omoplatas because I can never finish them. Just listen to me for once. Just stop arguing back with me and listen to me. Go for omoplata. That segments the body. It makes the person make a choice with, I either have to roll and give up the sweep and it changes the fight, or I have to sit here and get submitted. And so typically that is going to be your best way of hitting, attacking somebody. And there are a lot of different collar sleeve. There are a lot of different lasso variations to get to omoplatas, and they're very overpowered, especially early on. And they're overpowered because so few people have good omoplata finishes. And so it becomes this thing where people go, oh, it doesn't work. And it's no, it's just very few people have figured out how to get it to work. And so I like omoplata against big guys. Or you get completely underneath them, start to segment their legs, right? You start to get both of their ankles. People stop being athletic if you get both of their feet, or if you get their knees to the floor. And so there are ways you can look at it, but I'm always thinking I want to fight as little of this person as possible. I do not want to fight their size if I can't. Because imagine that omoplata, we sweep, we come up now, and no, we're not dealing with the hips or the legs. We're past into side control now, right? And so maybe this is a good position for us to hold and even out the exhaustion a little bit, right? And that might mean, obviously, we're going to have to be a lot more dynamic if the person's bigger. We're going to have to disconnect more than overly connect and squeeze and crush. But the bigger the person, obviously, like I'm telling you guys to be on top too. That's the real secret. It's just hard to get there. Bigger people will start to understand, hey, I have this value that I get from being on top. I win more when I'm on top. And then they'll just make it hard for you to get on top. And it's about how do I segment them to either get on top, obviously submit them off your back, but that's, I think, much harder. A lot of the submissions off your back, when somebody's bigger than you, they can actually just lay on you as the defense. And it's like, that's not ideal. I would rather be hitting submissions from top when somebody is exhausted, or just being able to get to top. And so those are thoughts on somebody much bigger. Is how much can I just separate their body? How much can I pull their elbows away from their body? How much can I keep that happening? It's just like, I don't want them to be one big unit crashing down on me over and over and over, because even if I stop it, it's too taxing. I'm going to get tired. And I'm like, man, I almost had him. But then at minute 3 in the 5-minute round, he passed my guard and submitted me, like always. Well, that is because you got exhausted. That is because he kept beating your offense. And so you need offense that you can hit, because you need him to be on defense. And that is the thought. Or her. I don't want to discriminate. There are girls that are significantly bigger than guys and will just thrash certain guys at the gym. And those guys will ask questions on the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show and purposely not mention, say, significantly larger or stronger opponents, and not say guys. Who knows? Oof, this is rough. I don't like this one. This is a little too deep. Biggest failure as a coach / gym owner. How did you make peace with it? Man, I think that it's hard. It's hard to say, because I'm still in the middle of being a gym owner and a coach, right? I have not finished. I can't look back and say this is how this turned out. And so I don't know. For me, it's like most of the failures that I see, I have addressed now. I think any of the failures I've seen, I've addressed now. And so the biggest failure is just not having addressed it earlier. Because no doubt for me, like when I think biggest regret as a coach, I think of specific people. I don't think of, I should have advertised this way, or I should have done this. I don't really think of it like that. But I do think of specific people pop into my head, and we all trained together for years. Literally, like, this is when I would teach every class, literally like every day we trained together for years. And you build really good bonds with people, and you really care about people. These become your best friends. And then there's life outside of jiu-jitsu, and that life can be really hard. And so as a coach, I really think the biggest thing that I've always struggled with, that I've always seen, is just those faces of like, is there something I could have said or done? Or, is there something I could have done to have helped this person? And so obviously I have not completely made peace with it. But let's take a quick commercial break. The jiu-jitsu mats are really gross, if you really think about it. I try to not think about it. I've actually run into this problem of writing commercials for my friends at Sports Hygiene. It's so hard to write commercials, because if I just really am honest with people, and we all just sat for a second and we think about how gross the jiu-jitsu mats are, we marinate on that thought in the same way that we marinate on all of the body fluids of our friends. And then you hear about a product from Sports Hygiene. You hear about their product, Full Guard. And you hear about this idea of hypochlorous acid and how it can literally kill ringworm, it can kill staph, and it is good for your skin biome. And this idea that there is a spray that you could literally spray on in between rounds to protect your body from the grossness of the jiu-jitsu mats is unbelievable. And it just so happens that they love the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show and want to give a promo code to you guys, and that is promo code I Suck. And so at checkout, when you are getting your case of Full Guard to just douse your body in because of how gross the mats are, be sure to use promo code I Suck at checkout. Let's get back to the episode. And we're back. Sorry about that. Somebody was chopping onions in the studio. Started to, mess with me a little bit. I don't know. Number 8, the greatest album in the last 10 years. Oh, in the last 10 years. Holy smokes. And what was the greatest album of all time? What was the greatest album in the last 10 years? Alexa, when did The Fame Monster come out?
The Fame Monster was released on November 17th, 2009.
Oh, 2009. Holy smokes, I'm old. Dang, I don't know. I don't listen to a ton of current music. Only album. Ooh, Alexa, when did the Teal album come out? Are you not listening to me now? Alexa, when did the Teal album come out?
The Fame Monster was released on November
That's not what I said.
2009.
Alexa, when did the Teal album come out? I guess we'll never know.
The album by Weezer was released digitally on January 24th, 2019.
Okay. Ooh, that changes things. Okay, so Teal album is really good. The Teal album by Weezer is just, I want to say it's 80s, what do you call it? Covers. It's just like 80s covers. They do Africa. They do No Scrubs by TLC. Great album. Wow, that's the last 10 years. Tough thing is, it's 80s covers, though. Does it really count? Last 10 years, totally honest, this is going to shock you guys. You guys are not going to see this coming from your boy Josh McKinney. But have you ever listened to Harry's House from front to back, the album by Harry Styles? Anybody? I'm telling you, Harry's House is absolute gold. I was listening to that album during some of my biggest wins in 2023. Album just goes off, dude. So last 10 years, it's between those two. I'll say, just because it's a hotter take, I'll say Harry's House, last 10 years. Now, greatest album of all time. I already mentioned the Fame Monster. Fame Monster's Lady Gaga. I think that was her first album. Excellent album. And the thing is, all music then shifted to trying to sound like Lady Gaga after that. So you forget the fact that she was the one who created that new genre of pop. But I don't know, the greatest album of all time, probably not. I mean, you really, because you make the same argument. You can make that same argument with so many different groups, so many different albums. I don't know what album it would have been from Metallica. I don't think it would have been Kill 'Em All, but I don't know which Metallica album it was, but that was like the one that shot metal into the scene, right? And also changed the rock game. So it's just tough. Greatest is so hard. Nirvana, never mind. I'll go greatest. Same year I was born. That's the one I'll go with. Now, favorite album. Had you have said, what's your favorite album? Way easier. And this is a great album, but I don't think I can say it's the greatest album of all time. But Appetite for Destruction is my favorite album of all time. When I was a kid growing up, don't tell my mom about this because we really weren't allowed to listen to this type of music at that time. But me and my dad would work out at his gym, and he had the Appetite for Destruction CD. Don't tell Jen, okay? But I mean, just so many memories of lifting weights, that growing up learning to lift weights to that album. And still will, me and my dad will still lift together sometimes today at 31, and I'll still hit the old play Appetite for Destruction. Favorite for sure. Ooh. Deep cut. Oh, the album Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. That's a good album. That's a wild album. Super, super, super old, but that's a good one. I don't know. So many good ones. I really don't know if I could do greatest album of all time. I'm sorry, guys. I know I can pretty much make all takes. I don't like the Nirvana pick at all. I don't like the Nevermind pick at all. That's the hardest question I've ever had to answer on the podcast. Greatest album of all time. I'll give you something generic then. Abbey Road, greatest album of all time. Boom. Hit you with it. Super safe pick. Not a hot take. Guys, give me your greatest album of all time because I'm struggling. I don't think I missed anything off like the top of my head, but I just don't know if maybe there's something that I am missing that's just like the one. Like, bro, freaking Meteora by Linkin Park. Even, I mean, is Meteora even their best album though, right? Is it just that Linkin Park was that good? Okay. Number 10. Oh no, we're at number 9, sorry. What is the best advice for purple belt gym owners who still want to compete? And it's steroids. Number 10. I'm just joking. It is this. Okay. Here's the thing about all martial arts and pretty much everything. Your personality will dictate who you are as a person, will dictate how you approach martial arts. It will dictate how you approach every individual thing in your life. And so people that are crazy tend to have crazy jiu-jitsu. People that are really safe and play things safe learn to play things safe in jiu-jitsu. And it tends to be like to the detriment of both people, right? And so oftentimes your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. If you're a purple belt gym owner, this is me just guessing because I was a purple belt gym owner. You play long games. And that is something I didn't even realize at the time. But at 21 years old, I was so puzzled why everyone was like, I can't believe you're starting your own jiu-jitsu school. Are you sure this is a good idea? I kind of was like, what do you mean? Nobody's making any money through competing in jiu-jitsu right now. Why wouldn't I the only guys that I know that are making money in jiu-jitsu have schools. Why not start the school now and then grow it? And that was the thought. I didn't realize that was such a long-term thought. I knew I was sacrificing my own training. You have to do that as a coach. Literally, the coach's role and the competitor's role are two totally different roles. When I am a competitor, I need coaches. When I am a coach, I don't need coaches. I need competitors. And I can play both of those roles, but I cannot play both at the same time. It is just, I don't really know what that is, but it is that way. And so when you're going into the gym as a coach and you're saying, well, today I have to be coach, it's very hard to have any focus on your own training. One thought is you need a place where you can be a student. You need a person that can make you a student. There are so many sucky mentors out there that it's hard to find a good one. So you got to test, and you got to test the advice. And the people that are giving you good advice that is working over and over and over again, you just keep trying to get more from them. And And that is going to be like the long-term mindset for your growth in your business and in the growth in your jiu-jitsu. The problem happens at a couple of years in. You're going to start to have success. You are focused. You start to have some success, and then you go, oh, this is what it is. I am done now. I don't need to add more to I don't need to get better at jiu-jitsu now. I don't need to get better at my business now. But the truth is, that practice is why you're there. That practice of being a student, it's why you got to purple belt. You've got to keep that practice going because that is a skill. And so make sure you find a place. It's literally like you find a place to be fed. I remember my wife asked me years ago, one of my friends had left our house, and I don't know what type of turmoil his life was in or what it was, but we talked for a long time just about what he was dealing with. And he left, and my wife goes, you ever notice that you are the one always having those conversations with people, and you don't seem to have anyone to have those conversations with? I'm like, yeah, and it sucks, but I get to be that role for so many people, and that is a special thing. That is a thing that I should never not respect and cherish because I see the value in it, because I am searching, and I now have so many people that I really feel confident to talk to, that I feel confident to be coached by. So I just think that that's the thing is you want coaching. I do so much learning that's non-jiu-jitsu related stuff because as a gym owner, you have to understand more about business, even though it's not the fun part of jiu-jitsu. I just talked to Jake Luigi a few episodes about this, the guy who runs the YouTube channel Less Impressed, More Involved. He was talking about, we were both talking about you dedicate all of your time in, you love jiu-jitsu so much. So you go, I'm going to create this jiu-jitsu business, this business around my jiu-jitsu. So you dedicate so much time and effort to it. And then what ends up happening is you go, wow, I've gotten good at this business stuff. I've gotten good at signing up students. I've gotten good at coaching, but now I don't get to do jiu-jitsu. And so the same thing that I wanted to do, I don't get to do. And so finding places that you get to still have that fun and still be a student, I think is, it's incredibly valuable. Number 10, what advice do you have for training smart and staying consistent while avoiding injuries or coming back from an injury if one happens? Not overtraining, and that's a hard thing. A lot of people, through jiu-jitsu, most people are inherently overtrained, and so they just always are habitually overtrained, so they are just always. There is no baseline of hey, what does it mean to be recovered, or why would you be recovered? So this is different if you're a hobbyist or if you are a competitor. If you are a hobbyist, it is good to find a consistent schedule that works for you, and you can just kind of feel your way through it. But you go, okay, 4 days a week, I get injured. So maybe we try 3 days a week, or 4 days a week and they're all night classes, I get injured. You hear Steve McKinney, my dad, talk about how if he does daytime classes, he gets injured way less. And it's all as he's aged, it's always been that way. And so maybe you move your classes to the day and it lets you recover a little bit better. Maybe you cut down on one of those classes. And so it's different for every person. But for me, I'm always looking at it I just don't want to train hard on days that I feel less than 90%. And I know that that's just my own feel when I'm talking about percentages. There's really no good way to explain it. 90% means I can almost do everything that I can do on my best day, but it just takes a little more effort. 80% is it starts to take a lot of effort to do the things that I can do pretty effortlessly on my best day. Under 80%, there's a 50% now is I can't, no matter how much effort, I can't do my best stuff I don't have, it's just not available. My legs are feeling a little, I'm in quicksand today. And maybe if that happens, like I just told you, you don't train hard. That doesn't mean you don't have to train. Maybe I'm just training like bottom side control, trying to escape. And when I can't, you get tapped like, oh, okay, restart. You escape. Oh, okay, go back. Because when you start to open up, you start to get to the more dynamic positions of open guard and stuff. That's where you have more risk of getting injured. If you're getting hurt in bottom side control, like a lot of times it's because you didn't tap. Because you're pretty pinned and there's not a lot of stuff that you can do from that position. And so, I would say the biggest thing I'm looking at is like, you've got to learn your own feel for your own body. And then from there, that's where you build your schedule. Now, for competitors, it's different because competitors' jobs are to win competitions. Their job is to perform at their best when the moment arrives. And that part of that is being recovered when the moment arrives. And you can only judge that, again, knowing who you are. I have done, and this is my rule. I'll just give it to you like this. This is really easy. It's called the 100% rule. And I will not train in the last, now, keep in mind, I'm an old man. I'm 31, and I have 17 years of competitive jiu-jitsu on my body. And joints are older than 31, okay? And so I am looking at it from this perspective now. I take 2 weeks before every competition, and I will only train live and hard if I feel 100%. I will not train on any, because that's how I want to feel on tournament day. So I'm trying to get like the most complete performance reps when I'm doing performance. I still show up to the same schedule, but my training can just like, the intensity of my training just drops drastically. And that's called the 100% rule. Just add that one thing, you'll perform better. Literally 2 weeks before your tournament, even just 1 week before your tournament. I know so many people worry about losing the cardio that they have, and then they end up overtraining all the way up into the tournament, and then they get tired and they go, well, maybe I should have done more cardio. Maybe I should have ran 10 miles last night instead of 5. I'm like, no, that is why you're tired. You have a certain amount of energy. Your body needs to recover that. It needs to replenish that energy. That's how everybody works. Yeah, you can take steroids and make that energy replenish a lot quicker, but still, even if you're on, you still need to think about, I want to perform at my best at the tournament. That's the goal here. And so obviously different for competitors, different for hobbyists. But those are just general thoughts. If those thoughts make sense to you as a competitor, I have a free ebook called The Competitor's Journey. It's on simplifyingjujitsu.com. We'll link it in the description. And it is, sorry, I'm writing down The Competitor's Journey so I don't forget to link it in the description for you guys. But it is just about how to structure a 6-week, it's actually a 7-week camp before a tournament, what days you should train depending on who you are and how much free time you have, and what those training sessions should look like. It's 3 different templates, one for a guy that can only train, or girl, who can only train 2 classes per week. One for a guy, this one's not for girls, I'm just joking. They can only train 3 to 4 classes per week, maybe because physically that's all they can do, or time-wise, that's all that they have. And then one for like professionals, that is for me, I've always been a natural athlete. So while being a natural athlete, competing in adult black belt, that I give you like the exact training schedule, the exact routine that I had down to the stretches that I was doing, just everything. And so, I think that is a helpful piece for you guys if you want it. Now let's go. Number 11, best post-competition meal. This is a great question. And I know I'm an AJJ guy, but back when I was a BJJ guy, you would go to a Brazilian barbecue after, right? And then, dude, Brazilian barbecue, it's buffets. If you've never been to a churrascaria, you go and they have huge skewers that they have all kinds of delicious meats on. and they will cut piece of meat. You put them on your plate, and then you consume them. And then they have ridiculous salad bars too, and everything's all you can eat. You have like some type of red light, green light system, card system on your table that you can show, hey, we want you to keep bringing all of these delicious meats. Obviously, what I just described to you is without a doubt the best post-competition meal. Here's the problem. Pretty expensive. The experience tends to dwindle down the bigger your group gets. Your table gets about the same amount of service, but the amount of people starts to spread. It's much nicer when you only have a group. And then when you also have a big group, people are like, oh, this is really expensive. Do we really want to do this? Are we sure? Shouldn't we just eat Jack in the Box? I'm like, no, we don't want to do that. And so, yeah, here's the thing. I know I'm an AJJ guy, and I should say Texas Roadhouse, Longhorn, not Outback. That's Australia, not there. I should say that. But Texas de Brazil? Come on, man. Come on. It's hard to beat. I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. I guess if you're really wanting carbs, you guys ever get unlimited pasta, salad, and breadsticks at Olive Garden? Holy smokes. That's like $13. So if you're with the poor crew, if you're with the GC broke boys, we're probably eating Olive Garden. Here's the thing. This is the thing. You guys may have different opinions. Tell me, best competition, post-meal, maybe it's a specific place. If I'm on the West Coast, it's In-N-Out, right? Because I don't have In-N-Out where I live, and those burgers are great. I know people on the West Coast are like, oh no, he said In-N-Out, that's ridiculous. But it's what we don't have access to. Sometimes we're going with crews that have never had In-N-Out, so you get to enjoy. It's like you get to enjoy the first experience again. And then the thing is, this is what makes it the best competition meal. This is the criteria, and this is the most important thing that I need you guys to draw from this. Best competition meal is the planned post-competition meal. If you know a day out where you guys are going to eat, I promise you the competition will be significantly better. Like what we are going to do for dinner after we leave here. I promise. Now, if you know a month out where you're going to eat, the competition is easier. Your chances of winning skyrocket. I'm telling you, they do. You think, Josh, it's all about focus. You're losing focus. No. You're not. It's so hard to not over-focus on a competition when you know that there is life after the competition. What tends to happen is you tend to do better. You tend to not obsess so much, and you have something to look forward to, and it lets you a lot of times take it off your mind of like, when you see on a TV show and the dad's like, yeah, no matter if you win or lose, we're getting pizza. That's what you're doing for adults. Like, no matter what, we get pizza, so don't worry about that. Don't stress about whether we win or lose, right? And so, that really typically lets you enjoy the game better. And so, best post-competition meal, even if it's freaking McDonald's, it's about that the group wants that and that we all go together. We all revel in victory together or defeat, and we talk about it as human beings have done after wars for as long as they've existed. You sit around and you say, man, I crushed that dude. Yeah, that dude beat me down though. That was rough. Like, oh man, should I even post that on Instagram? Nah, just keep it a secret. Don't tell anybody you competed, right? Let's go to number 12. This is tough. Is there a widely accepted idea or rule in Jiu Jitsu that you actually disagree with, and why? This is tough because we kind of do our own thing over here on the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show. I don't really... Like, all the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show is me being against these type of rules. I would say, okay, there are unspoken rules, and that's what I don't like. And that's what I have. If you have seen, there has obviously been a change in some of our content in 2025. Some of this stuff, some of the opinions have gotten hotter. They have gotten spicier. And the reason that I started to do that is not because I think there are a lot of people that do that and they go, I'm going to build a brand off of clicks. And that's like the mindset, which is totally cool. Do it, right? That wasn't my mindset. My mindset was I have a platform. I want to talk about the things that we aren't allowed to talk about. There are certain unspoken rules in jiu-jitsu that we all have to look the other way on. And obviously, the steroid issue is one of them, and I talk about it. But the TRT thing is another one, and I talk about it. And I understand that hurts feelings. I have tons of friends that are on TRT. I have tons of students that are on TRT. I have no problem with those dudes being on TRT. I was very specific on, I have no problem with anybody doing it. I couldn't care less. I explained why I don't do it. I explained that there are other options. There are other thoughts around it. And my complaint was that I see in the space that isn't explained to people. And so for me, the accepted idea or the accepted rule is these unspoken things that we don't talk about. Hey, are we ever going to have a discussion on, is it right or is it wrong that so many BJJ coaches, not AJJ coaches, but so many BJJ coaches, especially married BJJ coaches, sleep with their students, sleep with their white belts especially, right? People that just come in that they prey upon. Are we ever allowed to talk about that? Like, well, guess what? We can talk about it on my show. I don't care. I think that is an important issue. I think that is something, but we all know people that have done it, or we are close to somebody that has done it. And a lot of us have just turned the other way and said, it's just whatever, which is fine. You do you. But for me, those are the things that I talk about on the show now. And that's why there are no real rules in jiu-jitsu. As the podcast has grown, it's crazy how much power it has in the jiu-jitsu space. Because I one time was, I guess it would have been this year, I offered to teach some designated winner. And a coach goes, oh no, we do that. We do that already. And I go, oh really? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I was going to teach the concept, the training method that I invented, designated winner. And he's like, oh no, we got that. We know it. I'm like, oh cool. And then he started asking me about it. And he's like, yeah, what turned you on to designated winner? And we started talking about it. And I was like, this dude doesn't know that I invented this concept. This is awesome. He's using the term. He's using the language. He has no idea where it came from. It's just part of jiu-jitsu now. And so for me, that's why there is no technical rule in jiu-jitsu that I see. Like, there are obviously ways that people train that I disagree with, but I'm very open about how I think you should train, what I think the way you should look at jiu-jitsu is, if you want to get better, if you care about like efficiency and effectiveness. And so, that's my answer. Number 13, if you could change one thing about the jiu-jitsu community, crap, or how people approach training, what would it be? This is the same question. I would change that. I would change it. There are things that we can't talk about. And that's what I'm trying to change. I just think it's silly. I think that the witch hunting of the 2020s, the early 2020s, the late 20-teens, I think it's seeming to come to an end. And I think that so few people are seeing that. And there's so much fear to speak about anything that isn't popular right now. And I think, and so it's just so much, it's probably always been this way, so much easier to just go along with what the herd says and what the herd thinks. They'll do these, I was watching this test that they did. They had 5 guys come into the room. 4 of them were plants, and only one of them was actually in the test. They showed them a piece of paper, and it had lines drawn on the paper. They were all side by side. It was very easy to see which the longest line was, A, B, or C. At first, they're all guessing at the same time. They're all guessing, and they're all getting the correct one. And the guy who's in the experiment's like number 4 in the group. So he's answering after 3 guys have already answered. And so then they get to a point where all the guys say the wrong one. The first 3 guys say the wrong one on purpose. And the guy that's in the experiment kind of looks, and you can see he's uncomfortable with it. But then he says the wrong one to agree with them. The other guy agrees. Then the next time it happens, he actually doesn't even, he has no pause about it. He's just like, either he has accepted that the way he views it is wrong, or he has accepted that it is too much of a problem for him. He is too afraid to speak up about it. One of those 2 things. And the experiment goes, he keeps guessing the wrong one, saying the wrong ones, not guessing, pointing out the wrong thing with the people next to him because they said, no, this is true, and he didn't want to disagree. And so for me, that's the thing about the jiu-jitsu community I don't like, is that I think that it's that there is this globalization trying to make jiu-jitsu one size fit all, and that is the worst thing that we could do with jiu-jitsu. And one of the things that make it one size fit all is like, hey, there are these horrible things happening in our community since we all do the exact same thing and we all represent each other. And those things that we all like, they're bad. So we just don't talk about them. That's what I would change. I think we should. I don't think it's about witch hunting. I don't think it has to be specific that we hate specific people or something, but there are just these big genres of things that happen. And I think people just need to point them out and let other people know that there are other options. Number 14. Yo, so I got a new gi. It's really, really sick. Datsusara just sent me their fun gi number 2 and has a color stitching that I've never really seen before. It just, the gi looks really cool. The obviously whatever artist they had design it took special care on this, and it's just such a unique design. I have worn it twice now, and I have probably gotten 20 different comments on the gi. Everybody's like, hey, why is this shiny? Can I touch this? Can I put on your gi top? Can I choke you with this a little bit? And so it's definitely been the talk of the town. Only problem I had is I trained in it the other day. Jump in the car. It's like one of the last nice days of the year out. And so I got the windows down. Jump in the car, still gi on, still sweaty. I got leather seats, no big deal. And I'm going to drive home. And on my way home, I ended up having to roll up the windows because women were literally just trying to jump in to the car because they were so impressed by this Datsusara gi. And so if that interests you, if being, the coolest looking person on the mat interests you, being in one of the most comfortable gis that there is interests you, be sure to check out Datsusara. Be sure to check out dsgear.com and use promo code ISUCK at checkout, and you'll get 10% off of your gi, your backpack, whatever you want from them. But be sure to check them out. How do you see jiu-jitsu evolving over the next decade? I have said this before, and I am now, I'm sure that this is how jiu-jitsu is going to evolve over the next decade. I have an episode from like 3 years ago. It's like a New Year's episode where I try to predict where jiu-jitsu is going to be in like 5 to 10 years. And there are certain things that I pointed out that have already happened and happened very obviously if you look back on that episode. And I think I'm really lucky to be in the position that I'm in as a podcaster, as a competitor, as a coach. I get to be in all kinds of different roles in jiu-jitsu. I get to know people that are super well connected, have private conversations with them. I get to see where the jiu-jitsu space is evolving. And to me, there is no doubt where it is going. The push for the globalization of jiu-jitsu is dying. The unification of jiu-jitsu, that there is one jiu-jitsu. And I have always, on the podcast, used the term jiu-jitsu, even when I couldn't say it very well. But not Brazilian, not American, nothing. It's just jiu-jitsu. And the art will always be just jiu-jitsu. But how we train it, how we compete in it, how we innovate on it, the rule sets that we use, and what we're wearing are people's individual choices. People are going to stop. What's going to happen is there's going to be a jiu-jitsu school on every corner. And I know you're like, no, I heard somebody say that there's too many jiu-jitsu schools already. No, you don't understand. You are a moron if you think that. People are getting better faster. They're getting promoted faster. They're getting the skills that they need in order to share jiu-jitsu, and instead of pay for it, make money off of it. More people are doing it than ever before. There will be more gyms than ever before. It is going to grow explosively, because if you think about it, if there are 5 gyms in a town and each gym does all right, they probably have, let's say they have 100 students each. That's like a very good gym. There are 5 solid gyms in a town. So there are 500 people doing jiu-jitsu. And they do this for the next 10 years. Do you really believe that all of those 500 people are all going to get along with each other and not have gained enough knowledge to have split off to do their own thing? No, of course not. And where are they going to do their own thing? They're going to go, oh, well, there's only 2 jiu-jitsu schools a couple towns over. Nah, they're going to go, I'm going to crush my old coach. I hate him now. That's going to happen everywhere. There's going to be coaches that see this, like your boy, and figure out ways to bring up the black belts instead of kicking out the black belts. And there are going to be, it's going to change because of the volume of how much jiu-jitsu there's going to be. Jiu-jitsu is going to be something, is in how you understand. If I say yoga, I don't have to explain to you what yoga is. Anyone that you say the word yoga to, they don't go, what's that? Is that karate? Like, no, they know what yoga is. They know what karate is, or they think they know what karate is. And the thing is, jiu-jitsu is not there yet. When jiu-jitsu gets there, that everybody knows it as a household word, everybody's going to start to hear the marketing. The marketing is going to be loud. It's going to say things like, you will change your life. You will be a tougher man. You will be able to defend yourself as a woman. Your kids will be better behaved. And people will go, oh, jiu-jitsu does those things. That's what we should do. And what is going to happen from that amount of volume is either A, we do the unification thing where we're all friends, we're all doing the same exact thing, and jiu-jitsu is just jiu-jitsu. And only the big gyms that have great marketing, because we're all doing the exact same thing anyways, only they are going to have success. Or we start to niche down jiu-jitsu, and that is exactly what is happening right now. It is happening at the biggest schools right now. It is happening with the most forward-thinking coaches right now. And I could give a bunch of examples, but we're just going to stay on this question for a second longer. The thought is that is why I went AJJ. Is jiu-jitsu still just jiu-jitsu? Of course. I talk about when I used to do BJJ is like a fun quip on the podcast, right? Because one, it's hilarious. It's funny that it makes people mad. And so again, that's probably the biggest reason. But I would say that the biggest thing is it was about separating ourselves from the other jiu-jitsu schools so people could know, hey, they're claiming at least to do something different. So if I don't like the experience I have at all other jiu-jitsu schools that are just named BJJ because you don't want to offend anybody, you don't want to say that you have something unique. What if you offend somebody? What if you hurt somebody's feelings? My brother, I care about feeding my family. I couldn't care less about your feelings. I couldn't care if what I do in my gym hurts people's feelings that don't train in my gym. I could not care less. It could not affect me less. If anything, it affects me in a positive way. It makes my day that I get to live in their heads just by saying American Jiu-Jitsu. And so that, the tension, the friction, the excitement that switch has caused is not because we stopped doing what we were doing, but because we leaned into what we were doing. We stopped being apologetic about it, and we said what we are doing is different than what other people are doing. The product that we sell is different than what other people are doing. Come experience it for yourself. And that, to me, is what people are going to do. And it's not just going to be AJJ. People are going to find new niches in jiu-jitsu that they are able to really zone in on, that they're able to market with, that they're able to make a lot of money with. And there are also going to be new ways to make money with jiu-jitsu. Here is my problem with competition. We talked about this recently. My problem with the competition scene is everybody always talks about how could we get non-jiu-jitsu people to watch this? Non-jiu-jitsu people won't watch it. Why not focus on the millions of people that are doing jiu-jitsu that would love to consume a jiu-jitsu product made for them? Why not give something to them? And the truth is, that is also going to change. When you have more jiu-jitsu people training, what's going to happen is there going to be more ways to sell things, more things to sell, more products, more versions of jiu-jitsu entertainment that are going to be, there are going to be more consumers there. And I'm telling you, focus on that now because the market is coming. That is going to be huge. That is my future prediction. Give me 2031 and call me then. I'm telling you guys, jiu-jitsu is going to be 100x. It is going to be so much bigger. I see it. My own gym in Granite City was responsible for 2 school openings. One of my black belts started his own school, Aries Bros. Black and purple belt started their own school, the Aries Bros. And with me, we started another head nod with Ron, who coaches there. And so that's my one school. We doubled the footprint of ourselves just this year. What happens when those guys start to do the same thing? My Jerseyville gym that we've had for 6 years has 3 black belts at it. And they just train in Jerseyville. They don't train with me. It's growing and people are getting good at it. This is the future. The future is going to be explosive jiu-jitsu. And if anyone tells you otherwise, they are wrong. The reason that they're telling you that is because their feelings get hurt when they think, what if people steal my students? What if the game evolves without me? But the problem is, don't focus on that at all. Focus on the fact that you need to niche down who you are and what you offer to people and what group of people you want to offer something to, because the wave is coming. I am telling you guys, 5 years from now, you'll agree with me. Number 15, would you ever do an MMA fight under any circumstances? It would have to be for a crazy amount of money. That sounds like the worst experience ever. Oh my gosh, I do not want to do that. It would have to be for a life-changing amount of money for me, honestly. I just couldn't. Do you know how hard it would be? Because I would want to take it seriously. Do you know how hard it would be to do an MMA camp as a guy who's only ever done jiu-jitsu? And I do have much better wrestling than most jiu-jitsu guys. And so that is helpful. But the thing that's not helpful is no one ever punches me in the face while I'm wrestling them. I mean, sometimes by accident, but not on purpose and not as a rule of the sport, that sounds horrible. I just don't want to do that. If it was an absolute can, then I probably wouldn't need a life-changing amount of money. If they just like really wanted Josh McKinney on the promotion and they're like, yeah, we're going to give you a guy that's way too small for the weight class. He's 0-37. Like, I guess I'll do it. Number 16, was AJJ a good idea or a bad idea? Well, I mean, as of right now, it feels like a good idea, but we're 3 months in. So who knows? We'll talk about that on the New Year's episode of 2031. We'll revisit that thought. I mean, it's been very fun, and I know that it has been exciting. It's done all the things that I anticipated it would do, and so in that sense, yes. But it's a long game. Who knows if a bad ideology gets attached to it, and then my name is attached to it, and yeah, who knows? It's just I don't really know what the future is for it, but I know that it was the right move for me then, 3 months ago, and it still really feels like the right move now. Do you lean more towards the sport/competition side of BJJ? I don't even know what that is. Or the self-defense aspect? How do you balance or integrate the two in your teaching and training? That's a good question. So the thought that jiu-jitsu has to be self-defense and it can't just be competition, I think it's too simple of a thought. I don't think it's true. Jiu-jitsu can definitely be just competition for somebody, and that competitor could probably beat up, if they compete for a long time, beat up most people. And the reason being, most people who can't fight, right? The reason being, you training live in jiu-jitsu and learning to train at that intensity, and especially at that intensity for 5-minute rounds, that is something that no normal human being is going to be able to do that doesn't train, right? Or doesn't do something and doesn't have some experience as a fighter. It's just too hard to grapple with somebody for that long. So literally by hugging somebody in a street fight, you will probably win as long as you can do that. Even if you have no other jiu-jitsu experience, even if you're about to fall to a heel hook, you will probably win. You might get shot, but you could still heel hook the guy. Here's the thing, though. The best jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, solves all problems, right? Because the best jiu-jitsu recognizes that if we are in a fight using jiu-jitsu, whether it is a street fight, whether it is an MMA fight, whether it is a wrestling match and it's grappling, and we're just using grappling, we can't use all of our jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, whatever the rule set is, when we are trying to grapple, here is kind of like the big goal of it. When we're playing any zero-sum game, meaning if I do something good for me, it inherently is bad for you because you're fighting me. And so if it is good for me, that means that it's bad for you, right? There is not an in-between. There is no good for me, good for you, right? And so the thought is always, as a competitor, as in a self-defense situation, as a police officer, as a not self-defense situation, if you're just in a fight at the bar, the thought that makes the most sense is, how can I make this person as ineffective as possible while I am as effective as possible? That to me is what grappling is. That to me is what jiu-jitsu is, but that to me is what grappling is. How do I limit your effectiveness and maximize my own? And that is what the best jiu-jitsu should be teaching regardless. So to me, when I have a room full of competitors, some young, some old, I have a room also full of police officers that use jiu-jitsu for arrest tactics. I also have women that use jiu-jitsu for confidence, that use it for self-defense. I also have guys that are small that work desk jobs that use it to empower themselves and use it, again, for self-defense so they can feel confident knowing like, hey, if it ever goes down, if old boy at the water cooler that always talks trash to me ever decides to step up, I'm going to pull guard and heel hook him, right? And so the best jiu-jitsu is just built around effectiveness, and effectiveness in grappling is how do I maximize my own effectiveness, my own ability to move, my own ability to not be tired, and how do I minimize their effectiveness? How do I make them tired, right? That minimizes effectiveness a ton. How do I put them in a place that they don't have a lot of good moves that they could even make? That is what good jiu-jitsu should be, and then it can be translated to any rule set. Should you then train specifically for that rule set to really dial in? Of course. If you're training the sport, it's different. What I'm telling you is this is how I teach the art. Let's go into number 18. How do you personally define success in jiu-jitsu for yourself? Is it all about belt rank, competition medals, personal growth, or something else? For me, it's literally just about getting better at jiu-jitsu. I like competing. It's fun for me. But I really don't, it's not that fun for me. It's not like, there's still negatives to it. It's still hard. And I've done it so long, it's like, I could definitely see a day of just not competing ever again. And I don't know how heartbreaking it would be for me. I've done a lot of competition. It's been very fun. But I could never see a day where I don't feel like I'm getting better at jiu-jitsu and I don't feel like my understanding is increasing. That is when jiu-jitsu is fun for me. And it's been that way for a very long time. But yeah, that's what I focus on. That's my personal success in jiu-jitsu specifically, not jiu-jitsu podcasting, not jiu-jitsu other stuff. All those things are literally fueled by me going, how could I get better? What's a better method? What's a smarter person to talk to so I can get better? All those things. Why is the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show? It's about sucking less. And any point you go, oh, I don't suck anymore, you're going to stop learning. And there is something to learn from so many people. It's just you got to find it. You got to do the work. You got to stay consistent doing it. And so for me, when people say to me, when black belts say to me, I've never felt anything like this, that's success to me. That is what I want. And it's not that they say, oh, you're so strong, you're so fast, anything like that. They say, I've never felt something so effortless. I've never been beaten that easily. And that to me is how I define success. And so then when you go compete, then it's cool because you have better jiu-jitsu. But the competition thing, it just doesn't, I've just done it so much. I'm just like, it's fun for me, but I've become so callous to it. I don't long for like, what if I won this? What if I did this? It's just like, just a fun hobby that I still have, like the occasional hunter. Like, I still go hunting with the boys once a year, twice a year, and for me, it's like, I did one adult competition last year, 2 masters competitions, and it was fun. I wish I would have gotten to compete a little more, but no regret on it. It was fun. And so, all the other stuff doesn't really matter. It's just about getting good. It's just about getting good. And let's go to number 19. When does Jiu Jitsu Games 2 come out? Oof. If you didn't watch Jiu Jitsu Games 1, you're the reason that Jiu Jitsu Games 2 has not come out. No, we'll do it in 2026. I'm 100% sure. We added, you guys should have known by now. We've had him in 2 episodes. We officially added Brian Allen to the production team. And so we've got 2 producers now for the show, and then myself. And so we're going to be able to do so much more. We just need you guys to support it. We just need you guys to be in on it. Most of the stuff, almost all the stuff that we're going to be doing is going to just be free. I'm literally just saying, hey, let me entertain you with jiu-jitsu. Let me show you good jiu-jitsu in this next year, because we're going to be putting out an amount of content that is crazy, and we're going to do so many new things that are going to shock you guys. Obviously, we did the first I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show live I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu live. It's not I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show live because it's not a podcast episode, right? It's Jiu-Jitsu. And so I thought ISAJJ live is the best way to say it. But we did the first one of those December 23rd. That was really cool. We were nervous about it, but it was really cool to get out and to try something different, to live stream and to get to interact with you guys. We're going to be doing those things a lot. I don't want to make any claims of what I'm going to do there, but I probably have the biggest interview ever in I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show history. It live in person at a grappling tournament. And so this will be on January 17th. I have I don't even know how to say it, dude. I've never done these things before. So I got contacted. There is a Fuji tournament that is doing an expo in the same way like Jiu-Jitsu Con does an expo. It's in Kansas City. I want to say it's January 17th and 18th, but I'll be there 17th. And it is built around like, we just want people to come that enjoy jiu-jitsu. The same thing that we're talking about. People are trying new ways to let you enjoy jiu-jitsu. And it doesn't have to be the competition. The competition already has a crazy amount of competitors signed up, but they have a free seminar with Victor Hugo, free for everybody. They have like 2 different $1,000 divisions in it. Just a crazy tournament. But they decided to give me a booth to do hot takes, podcasts, to do whatever I wanted, which is a crazy move. You can tell these dudes think like, hey, we're willing to try anything. If you're going to give me a hot mic, and like I said, I believe I have a monstrous interview that I'll get to do there. And if you're in person, you actually get to watch it live. You get to hear it live, which would be a really cool experience, I'm sure, for you. I hope, because hopefully I don't suck on the interview, but yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think we would really, really enjoy that together. I would love if you guys came out to that. I'll be there that whole day. You'll get a chance to be in I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show content. We're winging it. We don't know exactly what we're doing yet as of the time of filming this, but like I said, we have the ability now because we added that. We literally have like an audio engineer, and we have, I don't know what you call Bryce's college degree. I've got to get that, but visual engineer, whatever that's called, whatever the camera person is called. So the team is so strong now with production. We're going to be able to do so much more. And that's why Bryce and I didn't do the Jiu-Jitsu Games 2 yet, because it was such a cool thing, but we didn't realize how much work it was going to be and how many other workers we should have had there. I cannot explain to you how much of our year Jiu-Jitsu Games actually consumed. When we did, it was like, I think we did in 2024. But it was so much, but we will do number 2, I promise. And it will be really good. I doubt it'll come out early. I doubt it'll be Q1 or Q2 of January, but maybe of 2026, but maybe in Q3, we'll be able to hit Jiu-Jitsu Games 2 and maybe have a good enough plan that we would have the plan of when Jiu-Jitsu Games 3 would come out or be filmed. Let's take a quick commercial break. Yo, Josh here. So I threw this commercial in late because I wasn't really sure if there would be spots available for the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show experience, but there are. The early bird special that's $100 off ends actually tonight. So if you're listening on January 1st, it ends at the end of the day on January 1st. There's a link in the description. You can go to headnothq.com. But I just wanted to make sure to let you guys know there are still spots available, and so you can buy the full ticketed price, and it's definitely going to be worth it. The amount of coaching experience that you're going to get access to, the amount of amazing jiu-jitsu seminars, you're going to get access to, you're going to get free food, you're going to get unlimited coffee, you're going to understand how to lift weights, you're going to understand jiu-jitsu, you're going to understand wrestling, you're going to understand everything it takes to be a complete grappler by the end of this, and you're going to have so much focus for 2026. If you feel like you're somebody that trains like 2 to 5 times a week, and you dedicate so much time to jiu-jitsu, but you still feel like you suck. And to a point that it's actually discouraging, to a point that you go, I listen to all kinds of YouTube videos, I listen to all kinds of podcasts. Nothing seems to be the thing, that catalyst that sets me on the right path. The I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show experience is going to be February 20th through the 22nd. It starts at 5 p.m. on February 20th, and then it goes to 9 p.m. It goes all day on the 21st on Saturday, and then it ends at 3 p.m. on that Sunday. But in that, there will be like 10 different jiu-jitsu seminars. Well, not all jiu-jitsu seminars, 10 different seminars. One is going to be a fitness seminar. I won't tell you who's teaching that, of course. But Steve McKinney's teaching a really cool fitness seminar. So many cool things for this. But the real thing that you will get from this is clarity. If you are struggling, if you are discouraged by how much effort you put in and that you don't see yourself getting better, the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show experience is for you. Tickets are available now. If you're before January 1st, the early bird special is still going. There's a link in the description. You can go to headknothq.com. Have a great day, guys. Number 20, what has been the most pivotal or memorable moment in your jiu-jitsu journey so far? Man, in the start, no doubt. I mean, it's not even close. I have been with the same coach for it'll be 18 years in April. It'll be 18 years this April. The most pivotal and memorable moment was just showing up to day one. Was the moment of my dad asking him. So we had asked the general manager of the gym, hey, is Josh too young? This is an adult class, and he is small for a 14-year-old. Is he too young to do jiu-jitsu, to try jiu-jitsu? And he goes, well, you'll have to ask the jiu-jitsu coach that. And so we walk over, we meet Kyle for the first time. My dad asks him the same question. And I remember vividly, Kyle looks down, looks up, and he goes, well, let him try. If you can't keep up, then you don't have to do it, but might as well try it, right? And I was like, yeah. And since then, I've done jiu-jitsu every day, bro. That's all I've thought about. In the last 18 years, I've been with the same coach, though, and he has been the guide for me in so many areas of my life for so long now. A person that I can trust, a mentorship that so few people have. And yeah, starting was the most, and starting with the right person. And so I know it's not the same for everybody, but for me, I got to start with just an amazing person and gotten to be with that person for a long time. Number 21, will you grow your hair out again, or are you afraid people will criticize it? Well, I really wasn't afraid that anyone would criticize it, but you asking the question that way made me feel like people might criticize it. Were people criticizing it before? I thought it was cool when I was long hair Josh, not tax paying Josh, hippie Josh. I think that was cool, right? Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Now I guess I won't. I don't know. It was cool to do, but you got to go through so many stages of bad hair. And I do a podcast every week, guys. I don't want to be looking ridiculous on the podcast for months again. Like, man, Josh really needs a haircut. It wasn't until like the last couple months that it really started to look cool. And then we had Matthew and I cut it. Ruined it all. I don't know. I don't think I'll do it. If they made a movie about your jiu-jitsu life, what would it be titled, and which actor would play you? I think if they made a movie about my jiu-jitsu life, he almost had it. Would probably be the title of that. And just a lot of things like, man, he was close to greatness in a lot of places. Did it ever go? I don't know. We'll have to watch the movie to find out. But actor, I don't know what actor would play me. I always thought the best lookalike that I ever got, it's funny, we just got the long hair question. But when I had long hair, it was pretty curly, pretty frizzy. And there was, if you want to search back on my Instagram and find a picture of it, you will laugh, because this was the probably the greatest roast I've ever been hit with. But I had long hair. One day, my student Robert Arias looked at me and said, "How come you look like a cross between Johnny Tsunami and Johnny Tran?" Johnny Tsunami, obviously from the Disney movie Johnny Tsunami, and then Johnny Tran from Fast and the Furious. And so the first one. And so that's a really, really good joke. Like, he really, really lit me up on that. And so either one of those guys could play, be the actor. When Twilight was popping and I was a young man, was like 15 or 16, the teenage ladies would always tell me I looked like Taylor Lautner, and I didn't, but they said it, so maybe him too. He's gotten a little chubby too, so it might be perfect. It might be actually Taylor Lautner. Yeah. We've aged well. Number 23, what is the best piece of jiu-jitsu advice you've ever received and the worst? I don't know the best off the top of my head, but the worst is no doubt. You get these a lot, but the mindset of like, this is the way. This is the only way to think about this. This is the only way to do a Kimura. This is the only way to pass the guard. This is the only way to think. Those things, if I held on to them for a long period of time, my jiu-jitsu evolution, I think, would have stopped. And so many times, the best advice that I got was like looking at things again, relearning things, diving deeper on things. And so, and I've said this specifically, I went to a Sean Williams seminar once, and he was talking about rolling without strength and the idea of how to roll without strength. I did an entire episode on this once. It's called the best jiu-jitsu advice I've ever received. But he had been talking to Roger Gracie, and it was about when he was a competitor and he was winning Open Class of Worlds. And he said, Roger said that his best training partner was a purple belt. Like, that was like his highest ranking training partner was like a purple belt. And I think he was smaller than Roger, and he was beating the best black belts in the world. And so Sean said, well, how? Like, what are you doing? And he goes, well, you have to learn to roll without strength. If you can remove your strength and your athleticism from your rolling and just learn technique, timing, and weight distribution, he said, you will be able to beat people so effortlessly that if you ever add your strength back, it'll be like a superpower. And that to me is still that I was a coach at that time, and I was a purple belt at that time, and I was struggling with the fact that most of my training partners went from being really good purple belts to then all sucky white belts because it was the people I was coaching. And so, and all white belts that only had me as a purple belt coach. They didn't have a bunch of coaches. They didn't have a bunch of guys to roll with to get more context on how to be good. It was just like, the best piece of jiu-jitsu advice was that, like, just roll without strength. Because when I started to do that with white belts that were trying to kill me, and I started to find the techniques that worked on a guy going 100% without technique, he didn't know anything, but somebody actually resisting at 100%. What techniques work on them without strength, without athleticism, with just timing, with just leverage, with just weight distribution. And that journey has completely changed my jiu-jitsu. Number 24, what brings you more joy these days, winning as a competitor or seeing your students succeed? Seeing my students succeed. It's not even close. Winning as a competitor, in the last 2 years, I've had one match that I've felt anything in winning, and it was because I was avenging a loss. Besides that, like, felt anything. It's like, that isn't even, and this, it sounds sad, but it's not. It's fun. It's fun for me to compete. It's not fun for me to win, right? It's like, it's fun for me to just try to see, can I still do the practice that I have built, that I've really told you guys about. I've literally tried to sell you guys on Champion Stay Present, the course that I have on Simplifying Jiu-Jitsu. I trust that process so much and have always tried to refine it. That's really why I compete now, is to make sure that I can do it and make sure I can command the mindset that I believe I can command, and I can warm up and I can perform at my best, because I'm trying to get good at jiu-jitsu regardless. And competing actually takes you away from that. Now, getting to see somebody, one of my students who has not done it, just like I said, you watch somebody eat In-N-Out for the first time, and it's like you're eating it for the first time. You watch somebody, you see the fountains in Vegas because you go to Master Worlds every year, and you're like, I've seen these a million times. But you get to go with somebody that's never seen them, and they're amazed. They're like, oh, they want to stay for multiple songs of it. And you're like, okay, we're ready to head out now. We've seen these a lot. But when it's somebody new, you go, no, let's stay. Let's stay. They're getting to experience it for the first time. It's like I'm getting to experience it for the first time. So seeing one of my students win at a belt that they've lost at a lot, like they haven't been able to win a big tournament or win any tournament at a belt, and they just have their day and they win 3 or 4 matches, nothing is more exciting than that. I'm telling you, people that have lost a lot and then get a win, nothing is more exciting. I won't embarrass him. I can see one of my teenage students. He's a blue belt now. He got his first win at a tournament after losing at a few. I don't remember how many, but losing at a few. And he hit a cross collar choke. And I don't think he did a ton of them in training, but he knew how to do them. Bionic Rob's an amazing beginner's coach, so he knew how to do a basic closed guard cross collar choke. I don't think closed guard was really the plan, but he just kind of landed there. He had an overhook. He had a deep, deep lapel grip. And I just go, grab a cross collar. And he digs in 7 inches deeper than you need to on the cross collar and starts to crank it. And I'm like, oh, that's there. Keep squeezing. And he gets the tap, and I can still see his face. Like he threw his arms up as like in victory before he even opened his closed guard. He was so proud. And honestly, I was so proud. It was just such a cool moment. And I don't even like the kid, but it was, it was just such a cool thing to see. And so, I don't know. Even that I told you one win mattered to me in the last 2 years. I don't know if I felt joy in that. It was just that I stopped feeling anger because I had lost to this person, And so maybe that's joy is the opposite of anger, not having anger. Maybe it was then my heart was then filled with joy, but who knows? Number 25, who have been the most influential people in your jiu-jitsu career? Coaches, teammates, or even opponents, and what lessons did you learn from them? Opponents is a really interesting one, and off the top of my head, most valuable opponent for me is a guy named Yago Souza, and in my opinion, one of the best guys to not have won worlds. He had a period where he was just amazing. And I had some matches with him. He started to try to come back. This was right when Tynan was getting just starting to really build some steam. He tried to come back because really that division, it didn't have any real heavy hitters anymore. And I think maybe he saw he was older. He was towards the end of his career. It was a surprising time, I think, to come back. And it was right after COVID. And I had 2 tournaments in a row where I drew him. And he was so good. And I was starting to get good. I was starting to really dial in. But he was so much better than me. It was shocking to me. And that is the chest over chest stuff that I teach now that a lot of people, it's become a lot of my identity and teaching that a lot of people know me for is the chest over chest guy, if it's not the I suck at jiu-jitsu guy. And that really, those ideas came from those matches that I had with him. Both times when he got on top, it was something I'd said against other guys, but it was different with him. It was that he was always too close or too far, and there was never an in-between. And I had him in some of my best positions, some of my best guards. I had my best coaches there. I really thought I had a chance to beat him, and he was just so good. So that was an opponent that made huge difference. I told you guys, Kyle is been one of the most influential people. Nick Sanders, Junior Silva, also 2 just super influential coaches for me. Always been there for me since I met them. We've always just been close and just had such good camaraderie and really the four of us, Kyle, Junior, Nick, and I, have built so much cool stuff together. And so, yeah, that's huge. Now, teammates, really, my teammates are my students most of the time. Like we always joke that I always make fun of Watson Martial Arts people. That's my coach's gym on the podcast. It's one of my favorite groups to make fun of. But the thing they don't realize is, like, technically, I'm a Watson Martial Arts person. I'm not a head nod person. I'm the coach of head nod. I own it, but I'm a student at Kyle's. I'm a student of Kyle, and so I'm making fun of myself when I say it too. But like, yeah, man, the amount of student teammates that I have that are amazing, dude. I have like, I don't even know. I think like 18 black belts now, something crazy, something nuts like that. And so like, think about the rounds that I get to do. Like, those are my teammates. My black belts, they all have amazing specialties. Like, my training environment, the rounds I get to do with good guys, I'm definitely the most spoiled person in the Midwest. Like, I would bet that anywhere when it comes to variety of high-level training partners with specific specialties. I'm telling you, no one even has anything close to how blessed I am to have the groups of guys that I get to train with. Even when I go, like I told you about my coaches, when I go to their gyms too, it's just the variety of people that I have to train with is insane. So there's no, it's hard to pick influential teammates, but definitely coaches and opponents. Number 26. I've heard this. People ask this question all the time, but it's so hard to answer. If you could go back and give one piece of advice to yourself as a white belt, what would you tell young Josh starting out? I would say, and this is the same advice that, and this is just something that this was more common then. There were less voices in jiu-jitsu then. And so a lot of it was like, don't watch YouTube. Don't learn from outside sources. Only learn from your coach. And that was how most people were taught for a very long time. Some people are still taught that way. But Kyle was always very open-minded. And so we were never taught that explicitly, but the jiu-jitsu community still was that way. It was like, you shouldn't learn from YouTube. You shouldn't learn from instructionals. You should only train at your gym, and because your gym has closely guarded secrets that are going to work on everybody. And you just got to learn them from your coach. And I think that just if I could have convinced myself that that wasn't the right mindset initially, and then found more places early on to cross-train, that might have been helpful for me. But besides that, I don't know. I don't think that, who knows, dude? Like, if I affected young Josh, who knows if I'm going to affect him for the better, It's like, what makes somebody successful? What truly makes somebody even just good at jiu-jitsu? Like, it's probably a lot of individual things that all happen at once. And so that's why I don't really know what advice I'd be able to just give myself as a young man. Like, oh yeah, just do this and everything would be better. I'm where I am now. It's like the same thing I was saying. I think it was one of the first questions was like, it just doesn't, like, as a jiu-jitsu coach, when you guys thought I was crying for a second. And it was about, it's just this thought of like, as a coach, you start to, you make tweaks to, if you are a good coach, I think, or even a good business owner, you make tweaks to the business constantly. You make them ideally when you see them. When you see things happen, you get in that mindset of like, when I see a problem, I try to fix it. And you do that over and over, and sometimes you fix huge, huge problems. But I would argue that the process is just as important. The process of doing that, the process of letting me as a young white belt figure it out is what put me with the perspective that I have to be able to figure the things out that I can figure out now, hopefully that I'm figuring out in the jiu-jitsu space. And so, no, there is no advice that I would actually give. Number 27, why wear a suit on the podcast? Funny answer is that it's for clips, but it really, I mean, that is true. It definitely does help with clips. It's funny when you see a guy talking about jiu-jitsu, not wearing a jiu-jitsu t-shirt, but wearing a suit, wearing sunglasses, wearing whatever, just something that catches your eye. But truly, for me, the suit thing is that I like wearing a suit. I grew up, I went to a private school. It was super small. It was like 30 people from kindergarten through 12th grade. And you might as well have sent us to the 1960s, the way that the school was taught, the way that everything, the only difference in the 1960s was like, I was there and, there were a few black kids in the school. That was the only difference. And so it was like from kindergarten until 12th grade, every day at school, I wore a button-up shirt, I wore a belt, I wore a tucked-in button-up shirt, and a tie. And I think when you got to 6th grade, you had to switch to an actual tie. You couldn't use clip-ons. And so it's cool for me because you go to a wedding or something, it's not uncommon that there are 100 people at a wedding and nobody can tie a tie, bro. It's crazy, especially if somebody pulls out a bow tie and it's like, this came with the suit. My wife wanted me to have a bow tie. I thought it was going to clip on. What do? Being able to pull that out, take a day, master the skill of tying a tie. Don't learn to tie a single Windsor knot. They're always lopsided. So if you're doing a real tie, you Google how to tie a double Windsor. That is the tie that you do. Don't do any of the fancy stuff yet. You're not a pro. It's not time to do that. What you do is you go, okay, I'm going to do a double Windsor, because if you look nowadays, ties that you buy are so skinny. And so the single Windsor worked when ties were 3-4 inches wide. And it was like, dude, if you do double knot on that, you can't see this guy's face. And so it looks like he's wearing a scarf. And so that is like nowadays, any tie you buy, pretty much you will do a double Windsor on. And so that skill, only use it maybe once a year. But when you use it, everybody goes, that's a real man right there. That's the one. When you're in a wedding and you know how to pin the flowers too, that's a real man right there. Everybody's walking up to you like, hey, how do you do this? You're teaching the bridesmaids how to pin flowers on the groomsmen, because nobody lived in the old-timey school that I would. I'll tell you this, the poor girls, you thought like, oh, Josh had to wear a tie. He had to dress up for school every day. The poor girls in this school looked like if like Little House on the Prairie said, we're going to go to the big city and eat a nice dinner today, that's what those girls had to wear. I don't even know what some of the terms of the things that they would wear. Let me try. Okay, so they would wear this all navy blue, okay? They would wear a skirt, and it had to go below your knees. And then they would have like stockings that they had to wear that were above their knees. They had, I think, some type of white shirt underneath, but then they would have like a vest, like pretty similar to the vest you would wear like under, like in a 3-piece suit. Then they had this like red bow on their shirt, like on their vest, like, and they had to wear that. It's pretty wild. I think they were also allowed to wear, this is a word most of you might not know. I think they're called culottes. They're like basically giant leg shorts to convince you that the person is wearing a dress. And it's like, that was wasn't as good. I'm sure those girls do not like wearing skirts nowadays, but I like suits. They're fun. Biggest lesson you've learned from Kyle Watson. I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's that he never closed his mind off to anything. He was always so open about learning that taught me that that's how you're supposed to learn. And yeah, that was huge for me. That was so helpful. And so that for me is that practice of Kyle is like his gym's title is The Art of Improvement. And that's all he's ever focused on is how to improve. And so, and like not closing your mind off for that is a big part of that. Oh gosh. Imagine a grappling genie grants you one wish. What would you use it for? Why does it have to be a grappling genie? Couldn't it have just been a genie and I could wish for money? That's so dumb. Oh gosh, I don't know. One wish. I don't know. I don't want to wish for the Aisaka Jiu-Jitsu show to be too big. It's probably as big as it should be right now. I feel like I might ruin Jiu-Jitsu if it got too big too quickly. I got it. I have a super duper secret project that I cannot afford to do. It would be a huge undertaking from the research that I've done, but I'm 100% sure that it would make tens of millions of dollars and it would completely change jiu-jitsu. I am 100% sure of this. And I know that that is a crazy statement, but no one is better connected to the jiu-jitsu space than your boy, I promise. This product, this idea will be figured out one day. I really hope and believe in my heart that it's going to be me who solves this. I don't think anyone else even realizes what this is. That's why I'm being so vague. I don't want to give away anything on this because, like I said, I can't afford to do it right now for sure and do it right. I could afford to do it, but not the way it needs to be done. And I literally have told maybe one person about this idea, two people about this idea, and I've had it for months. And the grappling genie would give me the check for that, or complete that project for me if I'm not allowed to ask for money specifically. Yeah, no doubt. That's the answer. Number 30. Holy smokes, we still got 10 more to go. This is so long. Who would be your dream guest on the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show in 2026? I'm glad we're doing 2026. That's tough. For me, it would be in 2026, it would be the person that would affect, the interview could affect jiu-jitsu the most. And so I don't think it would be a jiu-jitsu celebrity, like one of these big name celebrities that's a blue belt that if I had on my podcast, it would just be world changing. I don't think it would be that. There are certain, you know who it would be? I lied. It would be that. But okay, this is why. So I was going to say, I think that my responsibility, if I really could have any guest on, would be who would be the best for the jiu-jitsu group that likes the show. I know it would spread and be heard everywhere, but the people that already like what we have and what we do and what the focus, what the things we say are on the show. And so I kind of thought that I could do somebody that's like a really old school person and give their perspective, somebody that doesn't do interviews anymore. But I don't know if that would be the best thing for jiu-jitsu. What would be, the most fun thing for me, but also would be, I think, a huge thing for jiu-jitsu because I think that this person obviously exhibits a ton of dedication. Even though they're a big, big celebrity, they exhibit more dedication to jiu-jitsu that at least I see visually than a lot of the other celebrities. A lot of the other celebrities, you just see them get promotions and you go, are they just do they just do one-on-one privates and they just drill? Are they training hard? What are they doing? And this person, I see train hard all the time. I've seen people get to teach this person. They're obviously going out of their way to get better at jiu-jitsu. And so dream guest, no doubt for me, Mario Lopez. No doubt. To get to have come on, bro. From Saved by the Bell? To get to train with and or have a jiu-jitsu conversation with and or teach Mario Lopez. That would be so cool. That would be an experience that I would go, yeah, that would be awesome. So if I could pick anybody, that's what I'm picking. A bunch of I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu related. Let's go ahead. We'll take a quick commercial break. Hey guys, Josh here. I've been getting so much good feedback from the Rob Bernanke Instructional Jiu-Jitsu for Imbeciles that we have been giving away for free. But I have bad news. We're about to switch the free giveaway from our friends at BJ Mental Models. And so if you have not gotten Rob Bernacki's Jiu Jitsu for Imbeciles. This is a conceptual course on learning Jiu Jitsu and the amount of feedback that people have felt the need to give me. I didn't create this course, but still to tell me how much it has helped them has been so interesting. I mean, pretty quickly it made me go, oh, this is something that I should start to pay attention to even more than I realized. People love Rob Bernacki's way of explaining jiu-jitsu. And like I said, this is the last time we are running a commercial for this course. And so the next free giveaway is about to change in the coming weeks. But for right now, you can still get your free copy of Jiu-Jitsu for Imbeciles at bjjmentalmodels.com/I-suck. And be sure to check the link in the description and get in on that free course. Let's get back to the episode. And we're back. Now we're on to question 31. You guys are wearing me down. I'm starting to fade. We got 11. Why do we have 41 questions? I thought it was 40 questions. What is happening? Oh my gosh. Number 31. What are your big goals in 2026? I don't really set a lot of true goals at the beginning of each year. I always like to think, and this is a goal, I mean, just not how I phrase it, I guess. But I always like to think about positioning myself. That's always my thought for the next year is, what have I accomplished over this last year? How much has it changed my position? Has it changed where I'm at? Can I make new moves now? Can I do new things because of the money or status that I was able to, or position that I was able to get this year? Can I make more money with the jiu-jitsu skill that I was able to acquire this year? And so for me, December is always, because things always slow down in December, and I'm still mid-December as of recording this episode, so I'm not if it's January 1st, I probably would have a better answer for you guys too. But a big thing that I do during, the end of the year into the next year, you could even use the first 2 weeks of January and do the same thing. Nothing gets going until January 20th. I'm telling you, December 20th through January 30th or 20th in America, nobody shows up to jiu-jitsu, nobody shows up to work, everybody's sick. The weather keeps you away from stuff. It's just time just doesn't exist during that time. And so one of the best things you can do is kind of reflect, I think, and see where you were at the year before, where you are now, and then say, okay, where do we want to be in the next year? And obviously, then you can set goals off of that. But, I've told you some of my goals. Yeah, we want to hit the second Jiu-Jitsu games. We want to do more live streams. I really want to get the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu live really, really popping. I think that would be my biggest goal for 2026. I think that interactive stuff, I got people that are much smarter than me that are in this content creation space think that live streaming is going to be the future. It's the thing that will separate you from AI content. And I think that I could see that, and I can definitely see it's just the fact that, yeah, people say hot takes are their favorite episodes, but also I think a big part of that now is because they get to interact. There's no interaction when I'm teaching you a jiu-jitsu thing. It's awesome when I have so many questions like this, but it used to be I would ask for questions and I would get 5, and then I would have to wait a couple months until I got enough to do a full episode. Now I ask for questions once, and we have 41 really, really good. Some of these are saved from the last few months because people will just send in stuff to me and say, hey, next time you do a Q&A episode, will you answer this? And they'll have something. And so some of them are saved, but I would say most of them I just got a couple days ago when I asked on Instagram for questions. And so I think that is the most fun part about the podcast, or the most fun thing that we can do more of the podcast is make it more interactive, make it more. It's weird. It seems to be for some people when I meet you at tournaments, especially if it's somebody who has felt like they have become a better competitor because things they've learned on the show, people really care about the show. And I really care about the show, but I assume that it's just because it's my show, right? Like I'm the only one who really does. But I get to interact with people that really care about the show. And for me, it's this like, well, if I get to have that interaction and I see that they care, a lot of times in those interactions, I'll be like, well, what episodes do you like? And they're like, oh, well, what's your favorite episode? Why? And that is how I really learned what people cared about, what people liked on the show. Just using views to be that guide is tough because sometimes you just name something right and it gets more views. And so, yeah, my big goal for 2026 is really just to have more interaction with the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show faithful, like the people that always tune in, and then obviously use those type of things to grow the show too. And then with our schools, we have a few different moves in our schools that I won't say exactly what they are, but a few nice goals for the schools. Then I have one goal as a competitor. And those are, I have a few big goals, but nothing's too set in stone. They're all a couple weeks from now, I'll have a better picture for you guys. Number 32. In one episode, you mentioned you find typical warm-ups to be a waste of time. Could you explain why you feel that way? Man, I don't know which episode you're referring to because I have referred to these warm-ups as a waste of time millions of times. I would say, okay, when we say typical warm-ups, just so we're in the same definition, typical warm-up when I'm referring to that is when people are doing jumping jacks, when they are doing jogging around the mats, when they're doing things that aren't actually jiu-jitsu. This does include shrimping. This does include grabbing the belt while you drag your partner around. Anything that doesn't translate to actual jiu-jitsu moves, to actually grappling. Why are we doing this to warm up? This is so bizarre, especially considering most of us get to train 3 times a week and we have an hour. We have 1 hour a class, maybe a little longer, and we're wasting 15 minutes of it jogging and doing jumping jacks and push-ups. And people say like, oh, well, you need to be in shape. That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard. You get in good shape by doing jiu-jitsu, for jiu-jitsu, by doing jiu-jitsu. Proof of this is how many super fit people do you see come in on day one, use all their energy, get tired, and get submitted over and over and over, and even say things like, I've never been this tired in my life. This is the greatest workout of all time. And you're like, no, idiot, it's not a workout. If you get good, you need to go work out. You need to supplement your athleticism with other things because ideally it isn't the greatest workout of all time. Ideally, your jiu-jitsu is so good, it doesn't have to be that way. And so it's just, if that is the goal, why not optimize our time? Why not stop wasting 15 minutes to jog and do other things? Because most schools then go into slowly drilling or some type of controlled drilling of technique after that. Does that not warm your body up to get ready to roll anyway? Why not save that extra 15 minutes for the end of class to be extra time rolling? This is why I say this. I'm sorry. I apologize to this listener that I have not been clear as to why I think those typical warm-ups are useless. And look, I always say this too, if I go to your gym, it's not like it's going to offend me if you guys do warm-ups. I'm like, people will be afraid to be like, yeah, Josh, this guy jogs to start his classes. I'm like, dude, do whatever you want. But for me, if I'm running a class, I'm not doing that because I don't feel like it is the most effective use of time for getting people as good at jiu-jitsu as possible, which should be the goal. And so, I don't think I have anything else to add. Number 33, you've asked, what does focus on the basics mean a lot on your show? What do you think it means? Okay, so this person obviously either has listened forever or more likely started from the beginning, because I don't ask that question very much anymore. But there was a period where that was when I would say, what is the best advice to suck less at jiu-jitsu? And that would be the question that I would ask. I think the first 100 episodes, that was my finishing question. And there was a point where, like, 20%, 30% of people would say, oh, you focus on the basics. And so I would always follow up and say, well, what are the basics? And a lot of people would name things that I would argue are not the basics. Because here's the problem. This is why you ask, what does focus on the basics ever mean on a lot in the show? What do you think it means? I've never told you guys to focus on the basics. I've never given that advice. And the reason I've never given that advice is because I do not have a clear definition of what the basics are. What are the basics? Is it closed guard armbar? Because people love to say, oh yeah, you do the closed guard armbar. How many closed guard armbars in the most advanced rooms in the world do you ever see get hit? I mean, how many closed guard armbars in general do you ever see get hit? Not many. And so why is that and I'm not saying that's an impossible technique. Most people just don't know how to do it. Some people have good closed guard armbars. I'm aware. But I'm saying that the idea that closed guard armbar is a fundamental building block on which jiu-jitsu must be built is not true. It is not a fundamental, it is not an essential technique. You can get good at jiu-jitsu. You can have amazing jiu-jitsu and never, ever do a closed guard armbar. You can have amazing jiu-jitsu and never play closed guard ever, ever, ever. Have a great open guard, have good wrestle up, everything else is connected. You have a good butterfly. You don't need closed guard. So isn't closed guard the basics? Isn't closed guard one of the fundamentals? And so the problem with jiu-jitsu is there are so many ways to quote unquote complete a game of jiu-jitsu, complete somebody's game. I've told this story before on the podcast, but this is just so true. And so I love to reiterate it, is when Eric Hebner started training with me. I think he was a purple belt, and I might have been a brown belt. I might have just been a little bit deeper at purple belt. But we were talking about what I want him to focus on, what were my kind of intentions for him. And I'm like, okay, let me think about it. He goes, well, specifically, what guard should I be working on? And I was like, Eric, you're 265 pounds and like one of the best wrestlers that I've ever seen. And he's like, yeah. I go, why would you focus on a guard? He goes, because I want to learn jiu-jitsu. And I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, that is how people present it to you, right? And I said, Eric, we're focused on competition right now, right? And he goes, yeah. We're focused on winning right now, right? And he said, yeah. I said, if you were to go with a guy that could out wrestle you, do you think that, how long do you think you would need to work on your guard in order to be able to sweep or submit that guy off your back? And he goes, I'll probably never be good enough to sweep or submit that guy off my back. And I said, yeah, let's just focus on wrestling and top. And that's what we did. And it's funny, eventually, just through the positional sparring that we have at our gym and just the fact that you're forced to be well-rounded in the way we train, he actually developed a guard that looks a lot more like wrestling too. And it translates really well to all of our wrestlers. And so, yeah, the thought that there are basics is why I ask that question. I just don't know that there are truly basic techniques or even truly basic positions that are 100% essential for somebody to be good at jiu-jitsu. Besides defensively. Defensively, you do need to be very well-rounded, but offensively, you don't need to be that good at many offensive things. Defensively, you got to be good at not letting anybody do anything to you. That's kind of the goal. And then you only need a few little offensive pieces. Number 34, how do you balance your personal family life with the jiu-jitsu grind? I think a lot of it just is having the right team. I have a wife that is really cool about the jiu-jitsu stuff and is understanding that there are times that I am home way more than most people get to be. And then there are times that I'm gone just because of, going to tournaments and freaking going to expos and doing hot takes and getting in fights with people because that's what I do now. And, just doing stuff like that. I don't know. It's just like, it's a different lifestyle. And so it's hard to really fit into like my same question to this person that probably balances like training twice a week and has a job that they have to be at Monday through Friday and they have no flexibility of schedule, they get a certain amount of weeks off, I would ask them, how do you balance your personal family life with that stuff? And so I think for everybody, it's hard to do that. I think trying to really have, especially if you have kids, really making effort to just be present, to just be there as much as you can with your kids. And I think is important. But even that is like, I think having the right spouse is the only reason that I have that balance in my grind. I do. I think that there is no, I just do too many things, have too weird of a schedule, have too much change in schedule to not have an understanding spouse. That would be life ruining for what I do. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And so that is really the balance for me is, and then her having a similar lifestyle too, obviously not with jiu-jitsu, but just with, like self-employment and things like that. We just have a different life. And so, and it's the one that we want and one we choose. And so, it's like you balance it by working your butt off when you're not around them, and then being present when you are, and trying to be there enough. I think that's pretty much all it is, and it feels like a work in progress. I have one kid. Imagine when I have more, and that becomes even harder. And imagine as the businesses and things I do grow. So who knows? But for right now, I think things are really good, and I blame choosing the right spouse as a big part of it, as the main part of it. Are there any books, philosophies, or role models outside of jiu-jitsu that shape your outlook on life and training? I bet you could ask ChatGPT to dissect the first 100 episodes of the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show and say how many of these principles and ideas that Josh talks about are just stolen from the 4-Hour Work Week and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Those 2 books. I would say those 2 books. How many of those just then, shifted over to jiu-jitsu? So yes, there are a ton of them, but those are 2 go-tos. Those are 2 of my favorite, just 4-Hour Work Week as a business book for someone that runs like 3 different businesses and just does all the things that I do. 4-Hour Work Week is such a good one because a lot of people think it's like about only working 4 hours and then just messing around for, I guess, the rest of your week and doing whatever you're watching TV. But like, it's not. It's about you can take 4 hours of your time with the right mindset, doing the right things that are important in your business or even in your life, and take 4 of the best, most efficient, most effective hours per week and do what you want to do. You can take 4 hours per week and get good at jiu-jitsu as long as you are efficient. You can actually take 3 hours a week and get good at jiu-jitsu as long as you are efficient. That's where those principles came from. And so it's such a good business book, but that's where I started to apply those to jiu-jitsu. And then 7 Habits of Highly Effective People as a coach. That was the last 3 habits are about really dealing with people, and it's like habits 4, 5, and 6 are about like dealing with people, and they are just absolute gold if you were going to be a coach. And it's a pretty boring read, to be honest. It's even a pretty boring audiobook, to be honest. It's so long, but the content is so good. I think it's definitely worth it to help you be a better coach for sure. Number 36. You're a black belt, a coach. Okay, perfect. This is what we were just talking about. You're a black belt, a coach, a gym owner, and a podcast host. How do you balance all these things and roles and still continue to grow and train in jiu-jitsu without burning out? Without burning out. What does that mean? Burning out in the sense of like that I get tired of doing these things. That doesn't happen. I agree. I do not burn out in a sense of that. I love doing what I do, but I get very exhausted. I'm often very exhausted. But doing all of those things, you just list off a bunch of things that I do that are all my own personal choices. No one's making me do any of these things. No one's making me try to start more jiu-jitsu schools. No one's making me do this podcast. No one's making me run my school. No one makes me do any of these things. These are all my choices. And so by choosing these and saying that I'm also making I am going to be there for my son, I'm going to sacrifice sleep. I'm going to sacrifice rest. I'm going to sacrifice downtime. That's like, I don't, part of like, I told you guys, I don't consume jiu-jitsu content. And literally, this is hilarious. This is the only content that I really do consume by myself. And this is honest to God. I watch nothing else. And I watch this probably 15, 20 minutes a night. My wife makes fun of me every time I do. But because jiu-jitsu consumes my life so much and it's just nice to get away, I need something that is entertaining for me. Shows don't really do it, but it also has to be something that I like, but not something that I do. Because if it was something like, here's the problem, if it's woodworking, I love woodworking channels on YouTube. I will be like, well, I have to build a table now. The studio needs me to build a new table in it. And I'm like, why can't I just enjoy this? And so this is my perfect thing right now. I watch YouTubers play Madden. Whether they're playing Madden franchise mode and just drafting players, whether they're playing actual games with weird stipulations, those are my favorite things in the world to watch because I love playing Madden, but I haven't bought a new game system in forever. I haven't played a video game like that in forever. And so I just don't interact with that. I don't go, oh man, I'm going to play this way. I'm going to do things. It's something that allows me to shut off my brain. But that is just to say that I don't really have a lot of free time to watch stuff. Me and my wife watch a few shows, but that's just like part of our hanging out, And so I just don't have time, and that's just part of the sacrifice of doing what I'm trying to do. And so it's good. It's good that I'm exhausted from those things. So many people are exhausted working at things that they hate, working at things that they feel like don't bring them their life value, working at things that they don't see a future in. For me, I'm exhausted working at things that are all those things. And so I'm happy to do it. But it's just a choice of like, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to get tired. I'll rest when I need to, but I'm just going to keep doing it. And it's just, what is the point if not? I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see what the point is if not. In life, if not to do something, right, that is helpful. And it's helpful. Ideally, now we live in this world where you can do something that can be helpful to a lot of people. What else is there to do? You can do things that are helpful to you, which is also cool. I'm also all into that. But if you only do things helpful to you and then you die, do you feel like your effect goes on? If you do things that are helpful for others that are still here and then you die and they do that same thing, even without your DNA, you get to live on through being good. And so with all of these things that I do, it's because I get to help good people. And so that's what I do. Number 37. What does your weekly routine, look like in terms of training, cross-training, and rest? Oh, perfect. I thought it was going to be my weekly routine in general. Holy smokes. But just training. Right now, I like my Sunday open mat. It's a 10:30 open mat, and I generally don't train with my hardest rounds that day. That's that's a hard day to push it with how I get a lot of volume that day. And so like I like to do like 15 fives that day. Which means if you're going to do 15 fives on it, it's not smart as a natural person to be doing that once a week and training with people that are like right at your level, training super hard. Maybe I'll do one hard round that day, maybe two, but it's mostly just me. I mean, I'm beating people down, but it's people that are not near as good as me. And that's kind of that's my Sunday. Monday, I switched my Monday to my day off, which is weird. I've always had Tuesday as my day off, not just in training, but in work too. It's just always been, but I switched that to Monday recently. And so I haven't been really training on Monday. Tuesday, I typically don't train. If I do, it's something like I'm just too busy on Tuesday. I wish I could, but I just generally don't have time. Wednesday, I like to only train once. Every once in a while, I'll get gaslit into training twice. And I teach a noon class. I teach at 6 p.m. And so I always like to train with my 6 p.m. We do bad positional sparring. That's one of my favorite nights of training because I can go hard, but also it's not as hard on my body because it's bad position stuff. I do a lot of positional spars from bad spots with some of my best guys at fighting those spots. And so it's kind of like my deep defense day. And then I also get a lot of offense because I start other side of those positions too. But then Thursdays, I like to try to do a day a week of no-gi. I probably do every, couple weeks, but I teach a noon class on Thursday, so I train those. I go to Revive, Nick Sanders and Junior Silva's gym. Nick Sanders, one of the coaches of the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show experience. But those guys are Junior Silva, who is the owner of Revive Coffee, who's going to be providing coffee for the event. Where was I going on that? Oh yeah, on Fridays I go over there, train. That's like my performance day. If you guys have the Competitor's Journey ebook, it is the day that I always use in my performance day. I just try to get live rounds from the feet. They have a ton of space for it, and I get to go with their students. And so if I like injure anybody, I don't lose any money. And so that's a great one on Friday. Saturday is truly my defensive day. I kind of go back and forth on Wednesday, whether I'm doing defense or offense, but Saturdays are just consistently my defense days. Meaning I love starting rounds in bad positions and then going all the way through on your rounds. And so ideally, like I start bottom side control and I'm going with somebody and I'm trying to get a submission eventually. So then we can start bottom side control for me again. That's kind of the way I like to play Saturday, and then Sunday we're back. And so that's why I started on Sunday, and so you're like, why did he start with 2 rest days? But again, my schedule is different than yours. If you guys just pushed that weekend to your Saturday, Sunday, my Monday, Tuesday, to your Saturday, Sunday, it would translate better. Only 4 questions left, only 4 Qs left, and I have 4 A's for you. 38. What's one hobby or passion outside of jiu-jitsu that your fans might be surprised to learn about? I don't think I have any fans. The show maybe has a few fans, but that, let's call them I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show listeners, might be surprised to learn about. Obsession or hobby, passion or hobby that they would be, I don't really have. I feel like I've talked about cooking a lot on the show. That's definitely my other, more than anything else, my other hobby or passion. I always helped my mom cook growing up, but I started to learn to cook when I was like 17 or 18, and my dad and I would get home from jiu-jitsu, and we would like have to go get fast food every night because my mom was generally she ran boot camp classes at the time, and so she was generally not there. And so every night we were eating fast food. At one point I was like, maybe I'll learn how to cook us a meal. And then that turned into like a few meals. And then that turned into like, I cook all the time. It's like, a lot of, you would be surprised of this. Like people in my wife's family probably think of me as Josh the good cook than Josh the good jiu-jitsu guy. And so yeah, definitely one of my favorite things to do outside of jiu-jitsu is to cook. I did say woodworking stuff. I've done a lot of woodworking projects. You ever look around the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show? I built the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu studios. I built every square inch of this place. And so that's something that, again, that was more a habit out of like not having a lot of money. It was like, oh, well, you can build it for cheaper. And then as you get better at those things, then you build a whole studio for cheaper. And so, those are probably I don't think I have any other hobbies. I think that's about it. Any other hobby or passion that people would be, nah, I don't think that's it. I like to eat the food that I cook, or that anyone cooks for that matter. But that's about it. People wouldn't be surprised by that. Number 39. If you weren't dedicating your life to jiu-jitsu, what career or life path do you think you might have pursued? I don't know. Like, does this mean like if you weren't dedicating your life to jiu-jitsu? So like, if I just wasn't making jiu-jitsu my job, what would I be doing right now? I guess, some type of marketing and sales. It just probably wouldn't be jiu-jitsu that I'd be selling. I'd be selling something that's much easier to make money off of, that you could sell for a lot more money than jiu-jitsu. That is the, I don't know. Like, I don't know, because I don't know if this is the question of if you had never started jiu-jitsu, where would your life be? I have no idea where that is. But like, if I just couldn't make money from jiu-jitsu, I'd be selling something, bro. Like that's what I know how to do. Like, that's what I know how to do because I tried to learn to sell jiu-jitsu. And so, that's kind of, I assume that's what I would be doing. Only 2 left. We're getting to the end of this obnoxiously long episode, and now I'm starting to get sad. I'm like, I don't want to do it this long of an episode, but now I'm like, I liked doing this long of an episode. I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't even listening to me anymore. If you liked the long episode, trust me, I'm not doing these every week, but the long episode every once in a while format where we do a deep dive Q&A, hit a million topics, let me know in the comments. I would love to do one again, but I need a break after this. Number 40. If you could have a dream role with any person in history, holy smokes, living or dead, not necessarily a grappler, who would you choose and why? So many stipulations. I have a role with a person. Okay, I'm just gonna. If it's somebody dead, I don't know. It's got to be Jesus, right? Like, you would roll with Jesus, right? I don't. Who else is there? You got to assume that his jiu-jitsu is actually relatively good. He's always got the kimono on, you know? And then he also grappled Jacob in the Bible. And dislocated his hip in grappling him. And so you not Bible scholars are like, that was Jesus? No, that was just God. No, God on earth as human form was Jesus. Jesus is eternal. It's the Trinity. He was the guy who grappled Jacob. And so what did he use, though? Banana split to dislocate his hip? The old grab the ankle and yank to dislocate his hip? Apparently they did like an 8-hour round. It was like sundown to sun up or something crazy, right? It was a fight to the death. That's a good, man, great story. But yeah, I guess dead, but living, Jesus. But let's answer it. Dream role with anyone who's alive right now. Man, there's so many people that would be fun to roll with. Getting to do a no-gi round with Gordon Ryan would be so cool. You just imagine how good he's got to be. If you've never gotten to roll with him, you have to assume that it's like nothing else you can experience. Hodger in the gi, Hodger would be, Hodger above. Hodger's my number one right now. I think that's it. Yeah, if I could roll with if I got a dream round with any person, I would get around with Hodger. That would be a blast. And it would be filmed because apparently when Hodger goes, you have the camera on, Hodger will beat people down worse. I've heard. I saw him, I forget what it was. I think one of his guys like was trying to hit something on him, and he made the joke like, yeah, nobody submits me on camera, buddy. And yeah, that would be cool. I bet his jiu-jitsu is insane. Last question. When you are not on the mats or in the gym, what does your perfect day off look like? How do you like to unwind and recharge away from jiu-jitsu? That's tough. A lot of times if I am taking like a day off and I'm trying to be away from jiu-jitsu, just with how much jiu-jitsu stuff that I do try to be away from jiu-jitsu. So like if it's nice out, go on a hike, not have my phone most of the day or all day, leave my phone on the charger. That's one of the most helpful things, because if my phone is on, people are going to be jiu-jitsu texting me and jiu-jitsu Instagramming me, and jiu-jitsu is going to be on my mind. And so, yeah, that's one of the best things for me to do. Go eat with my wife, go to the movies, eat a ton of popcorn, sneak in all kinds of good snacks. There was this point when me and my wife were, I don't think we were married yet. We might have been, maybe we were married. But we were married. We both had the AMC Stubbs premiere. So it was like you pay monthly and you get to go to up to 3 movies a week for whatever the price is per month. And then they just, make millions of dollars off you off popcorn and soda. And so we started to beat the system. And so we would like sneak in like some candy, and then we would get popcorn. And then it was like starting to progress because we also both didn't work during the day on Thursdays. And so we'd always go on Thursdays. And it was like daytime show. Literally, we would be the only people in the theater most of the time. And so then we're getting away with popcorn. Or we're getting away with candy. Why not, bring our own cheddar popcorn from the popcorn shop next door? It's even better, right? Why not bring chips and guacamole? Why not bring Chick-fil-A? Why not bring Chipotle? And so, my wife's purse just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But that was the best. That was the perfect day off for a long time, was the movies. We were rewatching movies all the time, but it was like it didn't cost anything more to do that. Perfect date day. But yeah, for me, day off is just a day without my phone that I do something that isn't strenuous, but I do want to do something physical. Want to stretch, want to do something. If not, you just like, I don't know, don't tend to feel as good that day. And I don't feel like for me, I don't sleep as well, so I don't recover as well if I don't do something. But those are kind of my typical is stretch, go for a walk. Like typical active recovery things. Do something that interests you that doesn't beat up your body too much. Something that isn't bad for your brain either, And so, yeah, those are all my tips and tricks. That's literally everything I know, guys. I am just fried after doing 41 questions and trying to stay mentally engaged in it. But thank you guys, anyone who listened to the end of this. I appreciate you guys listening to this. This was fun for me to see how much people actually pay attention to the show. A lot of these questions were like a lot more specific than I expected. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate how much support the show has gotten. I really hope to see you guys in January at this expo. I hope to get some live in-person hot takes from you guys. It's going to be so cool to get that. Hopefully I have some amazing interviews for you in this coming year. And we are just able to crush that. Hopefully you already have your tickets to the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show experience. ISAJ ISAJJX. Man, I should have named the show something easier to say quickly. But maybe you already have your tickets to that. Get geared up in February for the best jiu-jitsu experience that you have ever had. That is going to be just such a cool thing. And thank you guys again for listening, supporting, commenting, reviewing, all of the things that we ever ask. I really appreciate it. We are going to continue to try to deliver just the absolute best and most helpful jiu-jitsu content that we can all of 2026, and I promise it's going to be better than ever. I really know that for sure this year. The team has just gotten bigger and better than ever, and so there's just no way that the content is not going to show that and reflect that. And so that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope at some point it made you laugh, and most importantly, I hope that today's episode helps you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu. Have a great day, guys.